Are you looking to learn more about your spiritual journey? Are you on a healing journey? Have you tried conventional ways of healing but didn't get the results you desired? If so, this podcast is for you. My name is Reverend Dr. Jackie Cope, and I'm a metaphysical minister, intuitive guide, and teacher. Here at Raven Rabbit, we believe that your ancestors, spiritual guides, and divine self are ready and eager to help you heal and prosper. We approach life, healing, and happiness through a holistic, indigenous spiritual lens to create the lives we want. Join me to radically change your life today. Hello, and welcome to the Raven Rabbit Wellness Studio podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Reverend Jackie Cope, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Thank you for dropping into this episode. And I'll be basically giving just a little bit of a life update, talking about what's going on and where I've been for the past few weeks. So before we get started, I'd like to drop into an invocation. Just make sure you pull that Earth Star chakra underneath you, and we feel alignment throughout all of our chakras up to our Soul Star chakra. I invite in my angels, guides, masters, ancestors, and creator as we have this wholesome conversation today with just a little life update. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I know I've been absent for a few weeks here. Through the month of October, I battled the cold that went around, and it was so bad, and I lost my voice. I sounded very hoarse for about two and a half weeks. So leading up to it, the pain in my throat, and then losing my voice, and now I finally feel like I sound back to normal. My last episode was about how I was aligning my business with human design, and how things are just coming together for me, and I think divine alignment and divine time. I've had so many working parts in my healing journey. I think that's kind of just a reflection of who I am. And it all comes together in the end. So I'm the person, right now I think I have 7 books by my bedside, all about different modalities of healing. I've got one for the subconscious mind, one for reading Akashic records, one about Washo spirituality, and they're all spiritual and self-development aligned. One is a fun one. I'm reading Genevieve Rose. I found her on TikTok, and I love her fun books, so I'm reading one of her romantic thrillers, so that's fun. But on the whole, I read a lot of things, and it just goes off of what I read at night or during the day is how I feel, what I feel like studying, what I feel guided to intuitively. So for a while, it was Akashic records reading, and the past few weeks, it's been a Washo spirituality book I have been really focused on. So even though I was really down those past 3 weeks, I still was reading, trying to feel in alignment and just super connected. Sometimes I think we get physically sick because we have to slow down, and it's Creator's way of saying, okay, you need to stop and slow down, and I'm gonna force you to at this point. So that's what happened to me. Also, I started a new little journey. I did it about 2 weeks ago in the midst of being pretty sick. I started quantum healing, and I'm very excited about that. That's a modality that I've never studied, never tried. I didn't know much about. I just know it's very helpful. So I'm starting to receive quantum healing. Now I've gone to 2 sessions. So I think with the start of quantum healing, I also really probably amped up not feeling quite well. And I've said this before in one of my podcasts about being spiritually unwell and how hard that can be. So I'll tell you about this is my life update. I went to my first quantum healing session, and we went over like my medical history, and if you've been listening to my podcast, you know it's quite a few things. The main thing was having brain surgery to remove a benign tumor, which we didn't know at the time was benign, but ended up benign, at 22 weeks pregnant. So that happened in March of 24, and it was a rough ride. I've been doing a lot of healing around it. And then I had the baby in July. So I've also been just postpartum in general. So when I went to quantum healing, I had quite a number of things to focus on and to feel better and to heal. So my first quantum healing appointment, she mainly focused on my brain. She said that's where it was coming from, the head. Really needed to focus, which it does, because my neck is stiff from the surgery. I still get headaches. And leading up to that, the vertigo was coming back. I was getting so sick and nauseous and tons of vertigo. So that vertigo in October was, I couldn't lay down on my back anymore. And which was like really difficult because I couldn't lay down on my back and relax and like put my feet up. So I think that's another reason I was pushing myself so hard. No position was quite comfortable through October. So she was really focusing on that as well. I tried to lay down on my back for her during our session and to receive healing, and I just couldn't do it. It felt like the world was spinning and I was falling down, and it was really bad. So we did my first session seated because I really needed that, and she focused on my neck and cerebellum, which was exactly where the surgery was. So it made perfect sense. And I gave myself, she asked me when I want to come back. I was like, 2 weeks. I needed some time. I was not ready to like push through that fast. And yesterday was my next one. And I now can lay on my back in an inclined position, which is how I've normally been laying. I have one of those beds that go up and down. So I've been in my inclined position, and I could receive quantum healing laying down yesterday, which was really nice. I think it was much smoother because we already moved through a lot of heavy energy and got through some of that heavy energy in my head. We got through some of that. The codes that came up this time during quantum healing were surrounding my lungs, gallbladder, pancreas, things with that, which makes perfect sense. Something I've not really talked about on my podcast yet, because I had brain surgery and was more focused on that, was the amount of stomach pain I was in for the majority of my life. My stomach pain was awful growing up. I had my stomach was always sick, and at 18, my dad did some research, and we decided to stop eating MSG. He's like, I think that might be. So pretty much I was raised as a little kid like I was lactose intolerant, and that was not the issue. So I didn't have ice cream and cheese and like a lot of dairy products growing up because we assumed that's what made me sick. My parents never got me tested or anything. When I was 18 and I went to college, I got really sick, and I was telling my parents, like, I'm not even having dairy. Like, I don't know what is wrong. My dad did some research. We found out MSG. We cut it out, like that preservative, because this was the very beginning of that stomach healing journey. And I felt really good for a long time. And then by my mid-20s, I started getting sick again. And I went to eating very much like whole foods and stuff. I thought I was eating super healthy because I was having salads and whole food, and I thought I was doing a good job. And I was feeling pretty good. Then I had a baby, and things changed again in 2020. And I finally went to a nutritionist, who then told me about all of the different preservatives out there, how it's hidden in our food, and how we have to really be mindful. So I switched completely to organic. We eat organic food. We try to avoid all preservatives if we can. We try to be mindful about the oils we're using. We use Himalayan sea salt. Like, we try to be very mindful. We're not perfect by no means. Like, we live in America and it's very difficult, but we try very hard. And my stomach has felt so good, like so much better. And so when she got all of that like inflammation with my liver and gallbladder and everything that helps us digest, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I spent my whole life being sick I'm really only on the other side of finally feeling better when it comes to stomach issues. And so that was really fun. I think it's going to lead to like doing some parasite cleansings, some gallbladder cleansings. I'll keep you posted on those as I make my way to those, one thing at a time. From my first session of quantum healing, she really suggested magnesium. So I've got magnesium flakes I've been taking a bath in. I have different types of magnesium supplements. So all my life I was always just taking like a magnesium. I didn't think anything of it, not all my life, but since my healing journey, I've been taking magnesium, and I mostly thought it was just for sleep. I didn't know the benefits of all of it, and so I have a different magnesium that has 8 different types of magnesiums in it. I didn't know there was more than one, and that has been super helpful, and I think that'll help me along my healing journey with everything, with the inflammation in my stomach, with the brain surgery from healing my postpartum. There's just lots of things going on that I really needed that extra boost with holistic medicine. So that's a little life update on quantum healing, and I've been very thankful for that. And I'll keep you guys updated on how it continues to go. And my other life update I wanted to talk about was Pluto leaving Capricorn. I am a Capricorn. I am very much a Capricorn in so many ways. I like to be independent. I like to plan everything. I'm a big planner. And I've just always, like, ever since I was a very young girl, I would read my horoscope and stuff. And it was always spot on. And that's just from doing little things when I was small. Not even like more in depth like I do now as I'm an older woman. I have Co-Star, so I read that sometimes. I love it. It's way more in depth. And I listen to Chani on my podcast. And so just way more in depth now with astrology. Sorry. So yeah, Capricorn. Pluto's leaving Capricorn. So I fell down that rabbit hole and was listening to a lot of videos about how it's leaving these 4 cardinal signs, and I'm one of them, and how it entered in 2008. And so since 2008, Capricorn has been facing some like big challenges. Like, it was a big time of growth. And I think that aligns so perfectly with me, because in 2008 is when I had my first surgery. I had knee surgery, so very big. That was always so defining to me before I had brain surgery. That was a big defining moment for me to have left knee surgery on my ACL, because I tore it in basketball when I was in high school. And then I graduated high school and went to college. So 2008 was a big transition year for me. And then just since 2008, I always just thought, oh, it's just my 20s. Lots of people feel this way through their 20s, which I'm sure is true, but I went through a lot in my 20s, much more than like my friends that I could think of, like my counterpoints that I went to college with. I got married at 21, got divorced at 29. I felt like I had lived a whole lifetime. I already went through like infertility stuff in my late 20s with struggling to get pregnant. I went through a lot in my 20s that some of my friends didn't even begin to go through until they were in their 30s. And I always felt kind of alone in all of it, because I really didn't have younger friends to talk about marriage. Because, not a lot of my friends were married at 21 years old. And most definitely they weren't getting divorced at 29. So, yeah, that, I think now, looking at the astrology of it and everything I went through and Pluto and how we're going to come out of this age now and things are finally going to come together, I have been feeling it these past month with this new moon going in through this month, through November when it ends. Oh, I feel like lots of things have come up that I've had to work through. And that's exactly what was supposed to happen. So that I'd be in a different place. And I see how different I am now compared to how I used to be, and how a lot of these cycles are coming to an end. Running my business, Raven Rabbit, has been very difficult. It's been wonderful, but difficult. And it's so surprising to me to look back and realize, like, I really am doing this. I really did apply for my LLC a few years ago. Like, I birthed a business too in this age. So yeah, I got married, got divorced, couldn't have kids, finally had kids, birthed a business. So it was a very, very busy time through this whole Pluto and Capricorn. And I really think my business is going to be the culminating thing that comes out of this. All of those hard life lessons I learned at such a young age, really what catapulted me into running my business. That's why I do spiritual coaching, and it's why I do education consulting. Like, I really want to help people on their spiritual journeys. I really want to help teachers and educators on their education journey. And it's finally all coming together. And now I finally have my family, so I've been really sitting with that too, like in the evenings, trying to come home and be present. Because part of me was like, this is so exhausting to have little ones at home while I'm trying to start my business. But having little ones at home was everything I wanted for so long. And I was like, it's just a temporary time. Like, they won't be little forever, and then that time will be gone. My business will go on and on and on, and I'll leave it to my children or somebody else. Like, my business will live on. My children will only be little for so long. And that's a different way of thinking about business too. Like, just because you don't get it done today with your business, you have another day. What I've been saying as a teacher is there's so much time. We have the time. And it can feel strange for some people to start saying that, but that was one of my affirmations. One of my affirmations was, I have the time. Because if I start believing it, time's going to start appearing, and time's going to start working in my favor. And I've really been seeing that too in my life, how time is bending and warping and working in my favor. So I could feel like, because the importance for me with time is feeling like I got all the things accomplished I wanted to do. And I've been seeing that come through to me as well. So that's my other, like, this whole Pluto leaving Capricorn, time was a big issue. Love, time, family, self-love too. I went through big phases in my 20s, and just recently with postpartum depression, which I didn't want to admit for a while there, but definitely was an issue. Going through with that self-loathing and self-hate, it's so hard. I went through it in my 20s big time, and this time I think even though I have the postpartum depression, it went by much faster and I healed from it faster because I'm in a different headspace. So even though I did feel it, I went through it, it happened. I was able to pull out of it much quicker than had I not been doing all of this work. Had I not been doing my spiritual journey and doing the affirmations and doing the work, who knows how long I could have stayed in that postpartum depression era. It could have lasted a really long time because I used to have long bouts of depression, and it would go on and feel like it would never end. So, all of those things too. Another major life update that has been so exciting is I've had a few clients with Raven Rabbit, and I've gotten to go to their homes and clear their spaces. And it's not so much the experience like what I did with them. I'm just giving you the background there, because what I wanted to share from that was just gaining the confidence to actually do the type of work I've set out to do with Raven Rabbit, which is a holistic indigenous approach to life, healing, and happiness. And it's been going to those appointments that I've been doing with these like house calls has really gave me a lot of confidence. So I think confidence too is what's coming through with the end of all these cycles. Like, I went through the trials of that, And now I'm going to reap the benefits of, like, I'm going to be confident in the work I'm pursuing with my spiritual business and education consulting. So spiritually, being able to go to my clients and, like, relay information from the other side, like what I get from my guides, what I get from theirs, and just finally having the confidence to share it has been, like, uplifting, and it feels like a weight's been lifted off my shoulder. I used to carry around this information and feel like I couldn't share it, and not knowing how to share it either. Like, why do I know all of this random stuff about people? What do I even do with it? And so it's not me bombarding friends or family. Like, that's, we got to keep the lines professional. It's with people, though, who ask me for it. I'm more than happy to share my intuitive guidance and knowledge that I get. And just to, as a Capricorn, comes back to that, I would get these downloads, this information, and it would be like, make no sense. Like, why am I saying this to a person? And I didn't like that as a Capricorn. I wanted to wrap it in a pretty little package for you and make sure you could perfectly understand it, and I understand it, and we're all good. But I've had to learn to let go of that feeling and just tell the person whatever it is that I'm hearing and need to say. Even though it makes absolutely no sense to me, and it could possibly mean not a whole lot to them for a while until it's time for them to make sense of it. Or they could just play, that they don't really know, but deep down, like, it was really a message they needed to hear. And so just sharing those things too when I'm working, it's been hard but fun to be like, okay, here's what I'm getting, and tell it to you. And either I've had people like, oh yeah, that's like definitely it, and I get that immediate feedback. I've had others just like stare at me and mean nothing. And I'm kind of nervous that I said it because I like it to be in a pretty little package. But then I've gotten messages too later, like, here's what it was. Like, I thought it was that, but I was like resisting it because, your clients are going through things too. Sometimes what you have to say is not what they want to hear. And that's okay. That's their journey. But it's been told to them, they heard it, and they could take it or leave it. And sometimes that's going to make sense to you as the guide, the intuitive guide, or, coach, or it's not going to make sense. You just have to trust the universe and just keep flowing with it. And that's another place I've really been at that's been really neat to see come through. And that's where I've always wanted to be, is just in that place of being able to share and share my gift. Well, that was my little life update over this past month of October. Something I want to share is that on Friday, November 1st, my next Mystic Rise course will be going live online. And this Mystic Rise course was it's healing, because it's literally talking about energy healing. So it was healing for me to do and create and to share. And I would love for you to sign up for that course if you're looking to activate your energy or to learn more about your energy, and if you want to use that energy to start helping you do some self-healing. So Mystic Rise Part 3, it goes live November 1st, 2024. If you're listening to this later on, don't worry, it should be on there. Log on to Raven Rabbit, check it out, and sign up. It's only $34.34. That's my number this year. And so it's affordable, and there is just an abundance of stuff to share in there. My modules are quite large. There's a lot to move through. And this one is energy work. So there's a lot to move through with energy work, about activating your energy, learning what it is, why we have it, what are the benefits of even using our energy. And it's just a beginning course when it comes to energy. There's so many avenues we can go down. If you feel like you're further along in your energy work and you don't need maybe an introduction to energy work, I am definitely here for spiritual coaching. You can check that out on Raven Rabbit as well. And we can just get started wherever you're at along your journey and start having those conversations. If you feel like you need support on your journey, if things are coming up that you don't understand, that you'd like to talk about, I am here. So if you have anything you'd like to talk about, you can always put it in the comments here, or if we want to get personal with it and you want some one-on-one guidance, definitely check out spiritual coaching on ravenrabbit.com. Thank you for listening today. I'm so excited I got to catch up with you. Thank you for inviting me into your space and having me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or evening, wherever you're at, and enjoy. Thank you for listening. Expand the life, healing, and happiness of others in your field by sharing this episode. You can get more of my content and other helpful tips by following Raven Rabbit LLC on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Be sure to comment on Spotify and answer the episode's question so I can keep creating content you love and desire. Thank you so much.